You're watching Septum Sen versus the World. I'm Septum Sen. I'm here with Kotobuki Jake.
Hi.
And we're here to inform you about what's coming out in the upcoming releases.
It's an interesting assortment.
So before we get into that, we have a couple of news items. Since we are not doing our traditional videos this week, Kotobuki Jake will instead be taking over the airwaves with lots of reviews, which he'll be spending pretty much all of our filming time editing.
Yes, my much promised reviews from I think a month ago. It's just, I think he said in a previous one he felt better about me handling the edits for these. And that's probably just as well. We'll see what we can make of it. And so look forward to something a little different. I have 3 different categories of reviews, and one each for each category. So that'll be something to look forward to. And I thought it would be also fun, since we're not doing a traditional one, to at least do a brief news thing here. I saw 2 items today that were very noteworthy, and I thought I would mention. One is sad and depressing, but in a funny way, sadly. And one is awesome. And the sad and depressing one is, have you heard the newest development in the continuing saga of Terry Gilliam and the man who killed Don Quixote?
Well, he's got a release. Well, he had a release date.
He has. It's coming out. It's scheduled to screen at Cannes.
Yay!
One of the people who apparently was one of the original producers on the film, who is no longer involved with the film, is suing to stop its distribution because he's not involved. Poor Terry Gilliam. He's been working on this movie for 20 years now. And it's seriously, it's got to be one of the most problem-beset movies ever. Which, I just hope it's awesome, you know?
There's a countersuit in there for any of the money lost from potentially releasing it.
Yeah. So, on much happier news, one of the absolute most awesome anime ever released at least in the last 15 years. They teased a couple months back that something new was going on. They announced that there is indeed a movie coming out by PA Works for their series Shirobako. Which is apparently going to be a sequel to the series. I loved Shirobako. It was flippin' awesome. It's basically, the shorthand I tell people is, it's kind of like Animation Runner Kuromi mixed with Genshin in the style of K-On! If you think of it that way. It's an awesome show. It's basically about this. It follows this production assistant at a fictional animation studio, Musashi, and her name is Aoi, and her 4 friends. They made an anime in high school, and their dream in life is to all get back together and do a big show together. And they kind of do at the end of the first season. Minor spoiler there. But I'm guessing the movie might be more them getting in closer to that goal. Because they're all involved in different aspects. She's a production assistant. One of them is a background animator. One of them is a CG animator. One is a scriptwriter, and one is a voice actress. And so, but it shows a lot of the ins and outs of the business, and just very entertaining package. And PA Works does do a great job. It almost looks like a KyoAni production. They really brought their A game. So I have big hopes for the movie. So something to look forward to when we can see it in 4 years.
Well, I know that one of the big things that came out was Bill Cosby did get found guilty.
Yeah.
I know that there are people who do say, he is innocent, he's being railroaded, but I don't know. The man actually admitted to drugging women, multiple women, and using this technique. So I don't know. I mean, he actually verbally admitted it. But, whether it's right or wrong, he was found guilty by a jury of his peers and in the system. So it looks like the next thing is, will he serve out the rest of his life in jail, or will they take mercy on him and do something like house arrest?
My understanding there's still more trials too.
Yeah, but one at a time.
Yeah, one at a time. But yeah, they were talking about with 3 counts, right?
Yeah, there's only.
I think they said it was something like 10 years per count, but he's 80 already.
Yeah, they ain't serving out that time.
Yeah. And so it's kind of on the one hand for the whole, let's actually find justice for these women. This is an awesome thing, but also for all of us who grew up in the 80s, it's like part of our childhood died.
I think that's really where a lot of people who grasp onto this, because to a lot of people he was like he was their childhood, and he envisioned that great family man.
Right.
And even throughout his life, his public life was all about family and ethics and, morality.
And Jell-O.
And Jell-O. And even his stand-up was not too bad overall. Which a lot of comedians, even when their TV presence was not as raunchy, their stand-up, like Red Fox, good example.
Right.
Red Fox's, Sanford & Son was fair, but his stand-up was extremely raunchy.
A lot of comics do that. A lot of comics go like opposite of their. There's like Bob Saget's a good one. I mean, if you ever hear any of his stand-up, that's not full house material.
But at the same time, I think that's a lot of it. And as far as in the African American community, this normalized an African American family. Not somebody who is in like the slums, not somebody who is, this. I mean, it's not a stereotype. He went against the stereotypes and actually portrayed how people are in reality in a lot of cases. So, he
was a medical doctor, wasn't he?
Yeah.
Yeah. So
it was in the
show,
To me, it's a sad thing that something like that has happened, and I think a lot of people are clinging on to that. And that's sad. Me, I could be wrong with it, but either way, it's been done. Next is the sentencing, so we'll see if they go lenient on it or not.
Now, some good news for the Black community and for the superhero community and for the comic geek community and for all this stuff. Avengers Infinity War is killing it this week.
Like we expected any difference.
Well, yeah. But Black Panther is still in the top 5.
Well.
So all 3, both of them.
Yeah.
But this is the weirdest stat. This is the one I don't get. Incredible Hulk got top 10 when Iron Man was still in the top 10.
Yeah.
This is the first time since the MCU started with those 2 movies that 2 of them have been in the top 10 at the same time.
Well, you would expect it with these 2.
You would, but it's still kind of weird that it took that long for it to happen. Because they put them out every 4 months or whatever.
Yeah,
this was a closer release window than most of them have been.
Yeah, usually they're.
But it's still. It was surprising to hear that.
It's unusual for 2 to be in the theater at the same time.
But yeah, they are both still killing it. Black Panther is still racking it up. There might be a chance it could beat Avatar. And if Infinity War stays on pace, there's a good chance it could.
Well, James Cameron will be sad.
James Cameron.
That makes me a sad panda.
Not be happy.
He's a sad panda.
Yes. If we could find a sad panda James Cameron for this, that'd be great. I'm sure there's one out there. So get to it. Yep. That's probably the main stuff I know of. I did not hear any notable death notices this week. I hope I didn't miss anyone important. Certainly let us know in the comments if we did.
Yeah, let us know if there's any news that you wanted. Or if you'd like us to bring up something in our next pickups video, which will go back on track next week. So leave it in the comments there.
Yeah.
So without any more distraction, here is what's coming up. So, not a huge week. It hasn't been a lot of huge releasing. I mean, Batman Ninja is a big notable one.
Batman Ninja could have been more awesome, though. I was just asking him before this started. It looks like the American release, it does have like the Spanish and French language. It does not have the Japanese dub, apparently. Apparently in Japan, they went all out and got an all-star cast. And if I remember correctly, I think Rie Kugamiya, I think one reason why I wanted to see it is I want to say that it's one of the two dubs, either American or English, that Harley Quinn and Poison Ivy are played by the same actress. And I just think that's kind of hilarious because it's. But the basic idea is Batman and I think Batman and his villains get transported to Edo era Japan, right?
Yeah, this whole
something like that.
I don't know what it is fully. I mean, whether it's that or whether it's an alternate retelling of reality where he was Japanese. Right. I don't know what the whole.
It's like the Joker becomes a feudal lord or something like that, and it's kind of. It looks interesting.
I've heard good things about it. People I've heard that have seen it love it. So I do look forward to it. Something I don't love is, of course, 50 Shades, Freed is out, and then you have the collection. So for those of you who couldn't wait for your 50 Shades fix, here you go.
Or those who just obsessively collect all the Raspberry nominees, this is your opportunity to get them.
I do not anymore. I don't. I'm not self-hating like I used to be in that manner.
Now, on a better note, I'm very much interested in Is It Wrong to Expect a Hot Spring in a Dungeon?
I never watched
which is
the first
apparently
one.
The OVA spin-off, the obligate swimsuit episode of Is It Wrong to Pick Up Girls in a Dungeon? I still need to watch that series myself. It is on the priority list coming up soon because I'm prioritizing my special edition collections. But I'd like to see this one.
Oh, I've got it on order.
We've also got the second part of Ace Attorney. From what I hear, the show is kind of but he does make a hilariously amusing video game character.
No, I was saying the games are, from what I've heard, excellent.
Yes. He's a fun character in, what is it, Marvel v. Capcom 2 and 3?
Yeah. The last thing of note that I'll do before we sign off, since we're starting to run longer for these videos, is the Return of Swamp Thing is getting a release on Blu-ray. And so far, only the first movie had gotten a release on Blu-ray. Believe it or not, the second movie is the one I liked the most, even though that was the one that got the least amount of praise.
I believe it.
I grew up with the second one on TV, seeing it in reruns, so I'm looking forward to this one. Right now, it's a little bit expensive for my tastes, but I'm going to be watching it. I've wish-listed it. If I see it cheap, I will be going for it. I want to complete that collection. It's just that, and then the series, and then I'll complete the Swamp Thing, like movie collection thing.
I'll have to see that one of these days.
Well, the original Swamp Thing was a classic.
And I do also want to mention, I don't remember much about it, but I do remember last year when the critics were talking about their movies of the year, a lot of them mentioned Moonrise. I want to say it's a documentary, but I don't remember much about it. But I do know that got a lot of critical praise. And that one's coming out.
Criterion, you need to...
Is that Criterion?
Yeah, Criterion.
Of course
you need
it's Criterion.
to take your time.
They really should.
Now,
with a documentary, theoretically, there might be a great deal of related footage available. That hopefully they'll go all out with this release, but we'll see.
So with that being said, we are at the end of our video for this time. Of course, comment if there's anything we have missed. I always like to hear from you in the audience. Is there any particular title that you really are looking forward to? And we will see you on the next one.
Did you yourself really want to see 50 Shades collection?
Oh, I'm sure that everybody wanted to. All right.